Please have a seat. Have a seat. Now, we're going to do something different for this Q&A. Anurag has been asking questions about his film, about the process of this film since Cannes, where you did the midnight screening, and that's the first time the world got to see your latest masterpiece. So what I'm going to do is, instead of me asking all the questions, I am going to open it up to you guys while I'm also asking the questions. So can we have one of the team members just ready to go to anyone who's got a question ready? And then I'll kick it off, and then I'll come to you, so we get enough time for you guys to also ask questions as well. So just raise your hand, one of our team members will come to you. But alongside that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for this film. And it seems like with the body of work that you have done, you're almost flexing your muscles here. You seem like a filmmaker who's actually having fun. It seems like you've got your team come to you and brought their A game when it comes to cinematography, the music, the costume design. So, was this the whole process where you expected it to look like this, or is it beyond your expectations with the team that you put together for this film?
My team is always very dear to me.
Yes.
Important to me. Like, I've been doing this for 30 years now. So when you're young and you have ideas, and there comes a time where you kind of peak and you exhaust your ideas.
Right.
And then, like, for me as a writer, I don't get exhausted, but many other things I feel like, okay, visually I have done many things I wanted to try with the medium.
Right.
And the world has changed so much in 30 years. The new cameras, the new things, and my team is very young, like in the sense, after me, the youngest person in the team was my actor Rahul, who's 11 years younger to me, and my cameraman is like 16 years younger to me. So I have a bunch of kids.
Just running around you and saying, I've got an idea.
No, I've been working with them for some time and I know the process. So literally what I do is I write a script, and except the opening sequence, which I wrote in detail to set the mood, I wrote the rest of the script and left it open to them I like my cinematographer to feel like it's his film, my production designer to feel like it's their film. So they all get very excited and they give it their best and they create the atmosphere.
Yeah, and we can see that. I mean, like, the cinematography, the color, the grading of the film.
Yeah.
And when they came to you, did they come with more than just one idea? Or was it like, this is what we presented you from the opening sequence? Is this what you're looking at?
I wrote the script and I just briefed them about, I had only one briefing.
Okay.
And because my influences in this film, I talked about that to them. And what had happened I had finished shooting Dobara, and I had gone for my diving trip, and I busted both my ears. And in that diving trip, because I was carrying a lot of books by Jacques Tardy's graphic novels and Jean-Patrick Manchette, so I had no other option but to stay on the boat, because I live on a boat when I go diving. So
I see.
It was no resort, no land, nothing. You're on a boat.
You're abandoned at
sea.
Stuck.
Stuck. And because of my busted ears, I could not take a flight. So I was on a boat for a long time. And I was reading a lot. And I could do nothing else but read. So a lot of those influences that came in. So it was almost, idea was like, let's shoot this film like a comic book. A very dark comic book. And see the city of Mumbai like that. From the eyes of this character. The character's been with me for a very long time.
How long has the character been there? Kennedy in particular. I mean, when did he first visit your mind or your brain?
Uday Shetty has been with me for 21 years.
You lived with him for 21 years?
Yeah, because he's not fictional.
Okay, so please elaborate.
So Uday Shetty is a police officer who existed in the 80s. And he was like a ghost in the system. And he used to do exactly what he does in the film. Because he was a cop who had mental health issues. And Some say he was schizophrenic, some say he was bipolar, some say he was just a psychopath. But he used to do the cleanup job for the police and the government back in the 80s.
Wow.
And he had souvenirs that he would collect from all his victims. So his drawer was full of the souvenirs that he would collect from his victims.
So the last bit of the film is all part based on
Those souvenirs that he has. So Uday Shetty as a character came to me from Sudhir Mishra, the director.
Did he know?
To who? No, I've dedicated the film to him because I stole the character from him. So the thing is, he told me stories about Uday Shetty. So all the filmmakers who were making movies in the 80s, they all know Uday Shetty. They have all tried to create Uday Shetty in some film or the other. From Govind Nilani to Vidura Chopra to Aditya Bhattacharya actually got inspired and made a film called Rakh, which was Amir Khan's first film. So they were all inspired by Uday Shetty. Uday Shetty was the main inspiration behind the whole concept of encounter cops in the 90s.
And there's a documentary on Netflix about encounter cops, right?
Yeah. So Uday Shetty became the kind of a model for how they created the concept of encounter cops to take care of the criminals that they could not otherwise because of the court and the way the court system in India gets delayed.
Right.
So Uday Shetty was the inspiration for that. Uday Shetty is still alive and he's a cattle farmer in Australia right now.
So he's in Australia raising cattle. I'm going to come back with more questions. But has anyone put up their hands for a question? Do we have a mic to go out to? No? Oh, just shout. So let's go with yourself, my friend. Stand up and just ask the question, please. Can you speak a bit louder?
Louder, sir.
Okay, don't worry, I'll go up to him. 1 second. Come, my friend.
Thank you. Actually, I love the movie. My question was, obviously the Kennedy character and the movie is based on the COVID concept. And I know like how hard the time was during COVID. My wife she also works for NHS, so I know like how hard it was. I don't know whether this was coincidental or did it just happen that Kennedy was also on a killing spree, just like COVID, killing people. So was it like coincidental or did you think about this?
No, it was not coincidental. Like the film actually, I wrote the script was right after there was a case that happened which was reported in the papers where there was a abandoned car found with explosives. It was just that much. The rest everything was fictionalized. I took that one element and fictionalized it and created this whole team of things, and the whole idea of Bade Papa came from Big Daddy and Daredevil, and Big Daddy refers to all the billionaires who control the world. It's a mix of all billionaires. It was not really just one. It's just a mix of everybody who actually control everything. They actually control our lives. So I just created this whole world. The idea was to create a kind of a graphic novel on screen, not comic book. I would say graphic novel on screen, which was very dark, but which was about guilt and redemption and the corrupt system and a pandemic that was very hard to deal with. And the whole idea of Kennedy is also like that. The night of the virus he's like a virus. Like when it spreads, you don't know, you don't see it coming. So it's a long process. You don't know how things come out because when I write, characters write themselves. I just started writing and then characters wrote themselves.
One thing about the characters in this film is interesting because they have certain quirks to each one of these characters, and especially Sunny Leon's character. She has this gut laugh, and it's not because something's funny. It's almost like this nervous laugh. And
it is a nervous laugh.
Oh, okay.
It's like a defense. It's how she kind of protects herself. It's a shield.
Mentally.
It's a shield in the sense
Okay.
because that's why she hides behind that laugh.
Right.
She hides behind that laugh. She hides a vulnerability behind that laugh. She hides how she just wants to navigate her way through the corridors of power and get out and get back to her normal life back home in Vancouver.
And so when you cast Sunny, did you see her in a role or did you see her when she auditioned?
I actually cast Sunny in my head before I cast Rahul.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So when I wrote the role, I saw Sunny because I saw one of her interviews and I realized this woman deals with so much, you know. So, like everybody sees her in one particular way. And nobody sees her beyond that. And there's so much to that woman. She's a super mom. She's got 3 kids. She has a life. She does so much, and she works really hard. But you know, we have a tendency to see her, not see her beyond her past.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, Sunny would get this very easily, but my thing was like, will she want to do it? Because I don't know her, didn't know her. When I reached out to her, she got very emotional. I said, will you test? And she came for an audition after being such a big star.
And did she laugh for you? I mean, that was a key
No,
moment.
she came for the audition, and then
Yeah.
for the laughter, what I did was we made a video of a lot of women we look up to who have this gregarious laughter, like Ravina Tandon or Anushka Sharma. We made videos
Of their laughter alone.
Yeah, we made an edit of their videos from YouTube.
Yeah.
And gave it to Sunny and said, this is what it
This
is.
is excellent. That's brilliant. I love that. When we look at the way that the costume design around each one of these characters, how much of the character had to come out in the costume? I mean, was there a thought process?
It was entirely my costume designer Prashant, because he does one film at a time and he takes it very seriously.
Yeah.
So he took from Kennedy. So because he took from Kennedy and then he went and researched JFK. So he designed Sunny entirely on Marilyn Monroe's costumes.
Oh, wow.
Entirely. All the costumes are based on that. Even like if you see the blue jacket that he wears has an American flag inside.
Yeah.
So no, he went into those details and he designed all the costumes.
Kennedy as a character, now you said, you casted Sunny before you casted your main actor.
In my head, yeah.
In your head, right? So who was in your head as an actor when you were thinking about Kennedy?
Actually, in my head, I had Chia Vikram.
Yes.
And his actual name is Kennedy.
His actual name?
His real name is Kennedy. So why the film is called Kennedy? Because on my script, I wrote the Kennedy Project because I wanted to do a film with him.
And did he know about the script? I mean, did
no, I just had the wrong number. So by the time he found out, we had already cast Rahul. He got back to me 6 months too late.
So Rahul already bulked up.
Yeah, because this film needed a lot of prep, and he was caught in Ponniyin Selvan, which took 2-3 years of his life.
Wow.
So he could not have found time. And Rahul gave me 8 months because he had to put on 20 kilos of muscles.
Yeah.
He had to practice peeling of the apple, which took 4 months. It's one shot in the film, but it took 4 months. He had to practice opening and closing of his gun with a blindfold on for so many long. So we gave him a gun that he lived without bullets, obviously. He lived with that gun under his pillow for like months and practiced it every day. So I needed time from actors to prepare.
I'm telling you, it's amazing. Let's get another question in. We've got. Do you want to ask a question? Okay, I'll come to you at the end. Is that okay? Okay, good. I'm just going to get to that gentleman over there. Come forward, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, hi Anurag. Very nice movie, and as you said, you may not enjoy, but you could connect. So I think a lot of audience would agree with me that we did connect at various levels. There was dark comedy, there was violence, characters, subtle satires. So my question is, you brought a fresh wave of cinematography and direction with Gangs of Possible, and a lot of people connected with even with the violence and the comedy or the characterization that it had. Does that weigh on your mind when you are coming up with another movie of such a genre? Do you go back to Possible days?
No, not at all. I want to run away from whatever. Actually, run away from whatever I've done before.
When we look at the body of work that you do, and then obviously trying to be fresh, and then people still fans of your films, still discovering your films, and they get mentioned again. So when you come to this point with Kennedy, what is it left for you to achieve? I mean, it feels like you're just beginning again. It's like this. It feels real fresh.
For me, it's a new beginning because I went through a phase since Sacred Games Manmarzia, I went through down a 3-4 years of, I was dealing with lots of health issues, and like pandemic was a big blow for me because I'm used to working. I did not know what to do with.
Yeah.
and being locked in alone. I was actually alone in the pandemic. So that got to me. I had a massive breakdown and I had health issues started there. So after that, I think, it took me a long time before I sat down and actually wrote a film which came from within me and made it and helped me come out of that phase. So it's also kind of a new beginning because I've been very vocal and critical of every government since 2006.
We've seen that in some of your films being pulled back, come off
Yeah,
cinema.
but we have been fighting,
Been fighting, yeah.
it's like since 2006 when I started blogging.
Yeah.
So I've been fighting for Black Friday and so many other films. So this is not like a particular party. I always fight the government. I have a problem with authority who try to tell you what to do. So I've been fighting. I was very vocal, but then I went off it and I decided I will say what I have to say through my work.
And we can see that.
Yeah, and now, so since then I've been writing a lot. So I have now found my writing back again, and after 4 years I've been writing non-stop now.
Can I please bring you to the way you shoot your films? Okay. Now, there's many directors who have an idea of a film, then they go out and try to find the funding, and then because of the narrative or whatever it is, and they can't get funded. And once you do get funding, the money comes in, and then the money itself dictates sometimes to the director and the producer which way the film will go. You being an independent filmmaker, when you made your films with nothing, and literally you were on the shooting on the fly, guerrilla filmmaking, and told stories with a brilliant narrative and capturing the story you wanted to tell. Has that changed as you come to these kind of films when it comes down to the production and how big it is, and you have a bit more, I guess, freedom to make films with
it
this
hasn't, because it's like I've learned, like, if I stick in budget,
yeah,
if I keep my cost of the film low,
yeah,
nobody interferes. So I have all the freedom.
Right. Okay.
So my only thing is, like, the films I direct does not pay my bills.
Okay.
So what pays my bills is other things, writing for other people.
Right.
Sometimes doing cameos and acting for other people, or doing commercials and ads.
Yeah.
That pays my bill. My movie making does not pay my bill, so that's where there's no compromise.
Wow.
So when you're doing a film and the film producer also knows that you're not taking money back home with this film, they don't have any power to tell you what to do.
So you took the power away.
I take that power away by forfeiting my fees.
And forfeiting your fees,
Yeah.
and
So I always do that. Yeah. When I make a film like this, when I do a film on hire, there is a different issue.
Then everything goes. Everything's good.
So for a movie like this, I know I work under the budget. It costs much lesser, shot in 30 days.
Wow.
So we do all those things, and with a lot of planning, which the credit goes to my crew.
Yeah.
They do the planning, I just follow.
You just follow them.
I follow. They do the planning, I follow them.
And the thing is that with the group that you work with, obviously they're influenced by yourself, and a lot of people that have worked under you have ended up making their own films. And when they do see, do you bring them back on, or do you go and support them?
They're always there. In the sense, they're always there. I trust people a lot. I believe in a fact that nobody wants to do a bad job. I believe that everybody wants to do their best, so I empower my team. I never tell them how to do things. I tell them, you do it your way, because I have the power to say no. If it's going out of hand, I can stop them. But I don't stop them until it is going out of the hand.
Okay.
So which is why a lot of newness comes into it, because they bring it.
Okay.
And which is why, if you see every assistant of mine, like most of them are filmmakers today.
Yeah, exactly.
But they all have their own unique voice.
It seems like
nobody is like a replica of me.
See, the beautiful thing is that you empower their voice. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
It's almost like you're in a university.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got any other questions? Right. We've got up there, down here. Okay. Let me come to you now, and then we'll go over to you guys, and then I'll make my way up. Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Hamza, and by the way, your film is an absolute masterpiece. Honestly, visuals, actors, actresses, music, everything's a masterpiece. My question is that when it comes to you making your movie, were there any hardships or any clashes that you made when making your movie? And because, especially with the main character having a very sort of sadistic nature, have there been any hardships that you had to endure while making the movie?
He had to go through a lot. My main actor had to go through a lot because I did not let him sleep. So every day before the shoot, I would not let him sleep at least 24 to 36 hours before the shoot. And that is what was the source of the gruffiness of his voice and his eyes, is because he just did not sleep throughout the shoot. So he went through a lot, and he lived with this character for a long time because 8 months of prep, I asked him to grow his beard and his hair endlessly. It was very much longer than this. I said, I will cut it based on my character when we start shooting. Till then, I don't want you to cut it. I also did things to him, like I told him not to shower more than twice to thrice a week. So because in the sense, and he spent a lot of time in isolation. It was very hard on him. He literally was that character for 8 to 9 months. Now, if you look at him, he's somebody else. He's lost all those muscles, and he's a always smiling, gregarious kind of a guy. For him, it was very difficult to be this character, but he was very dedicated.
Hi, my name is Ajay. I work as an eye surgeon here in Birmingham. Have been admiring your work since the days of Black Friday. And what amazes me is the ease with which you are able to transfer the mood and intensity of the film to all the audiences. So, wonderful film. Please keep on moving, keep on making films like this. And one thing which slightly disappointed me, इस फिल्म में आपके गाली गलौज ज्यादा नहीं थी जैसे आमतौर से
that is basically it entirely depends on the character. If you see the character of Kale or the gangster, and when commissioner is angry, they're the ones they abuse. मतलब उससे ज़्यादा अभी क्या करेंगे? But in normal life, people do. But like Sunny abusing doesn't make sense. She's an educator. She's a different kind of a woman. So it is always character driven and situation driven. I do not try to force it.
Can I ask you one thing also that was another character in the film, was the music. And the music really much carried the scenes and also put you in a certain place. And the choice of music that you used, I mean, it's quite eclectic, but then it was also something familiar, especially to the Western ear. When did the music become part of the narrative, I guess, for yourself? Was it while you were writing or?
It was before I started writing.
Right, before you, okay.
Oh, because I was in that phase when I was at Tchaikovsky playing in my house all the time. And when I started writing the film, I wrote it to exactly the opening sequence written to exactly the same piece that plays.
Wow.
Yeah. But we re-recorded it in a different way with Adam Clements. But Tchaikovsky was always part of it. What we came to with the poetry and the rap was over a period of time. So all of it actually came together and blended over a period of a year and a half. Okay. So I found Amir Aziz, the poet, during the protests in India, the CA protests. He was the voice of the protest. His very famous poem on YouTube is Sab Yaad Rakha Jayega. Yeah. So I picked him up. I called him. He was very reluctant. Yeah. He said, I've never faced the camera. I don't sing. Now he's acted in a movie called Kufia. He said, I've never faced the camera, I've never done songs and music, I'm a poet and an actor. And the boy blank was a 20-year-old teenage boy who would do music for himself without showing his parents because he had his exams coming up. So I heard his music via my niece, who was his friend. So I called him over, I spoke to his parents. I said, I'll make sure he studies and gives his exams. So I called him and he lived in my house. He came from Noida. Amir came and lived in my house. They both lived in my house, and I'll give you everything, just keep at it. So his music went from teenage angst to more political. Amir was already very vulnerable and political. And I said, just do your thing, and I will only have the veto power of saying yes or no. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And they came up with whatever they came up with, whether reading the script or their personal experiences. And I must have rejected 2 to 3 songs. The album has 6 songs. And the album has one amazing love song, which I've never heard a love song like that. It's not in the film.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. And so there's a lot more music that will be there in the album.
So when we look at the music and the big part of Hindi cinema from a long time, we are used to music. We used to, singing and dancing out of nowhere to elaborate, to move the story.
Yeah, for me, music is always part of the narrative.
Okay.
So my music changes with the film. Every single film, the music changes with the film. And the music director also changes with the film. So, every film needs its own music. And music sometimes does the job of what I cannot do in the script.
When we look at, Hindi cinema on a world scale, I mean, it has a place. I mean, Javan just came out, broke box office records. South India is just doing amazing work with, at the Oscars and box office records. Are we taken seriously in the Western world when it comes down to storytelling, or is it still a place for everyone to make these kind of movies and still enjoy films?
No, there are lots that is happening. It's like there was RRR. There's a movie called Kill, which premiered at TIFF, which has been picked up by Lionsgate, which will be the biggest Indian release worldwide that anybody has seen. At the highest MG any Indian film has ever got from a Hollywood studio. 2 newcomers, produced by Guneet Monga and Dharma.
That's coming.
That will come next year. Kill, and it is an action film that is beyond the raid,
Yeah.
which India has achieved, and it makes it possible, like it can be achieved. There's a movie called Stolen by a first-time filmmaker, which played in Venice, which is extraordinary. You've never seen anything like that.
Played here too.
So there's a lot that's coming out of India.
And, okay, I'll come back to you. We've got another question from the audience. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Neil Paul. I'm a writer, actor. Looking at your process, this might be a boring question, I guess, for anyone that's not creative, I guess, but looking at it as a writer's point of view, you said you had one character for 21 years in your mind, but then you said you wrote the piece in, I think, lockdown. How long did the whole process take to make this film? Write this film before it got to the process of creating the film and casting and all that? When you sat down, you thought, I'm going to take this script and make it into this piece. How long did it take you?
It just needs a trigger. My writing process is a very non-stop process. It's like almost like a purgation, So I had this character for a long time, but I did not know what to do with this character. The Scorpio case that happened in Mumbai, the car found with explosives, triggered it, and then it just took me 2-3 days. I just wrote non-stop. So I just wrote non-stop, and this is what came out. And then after that, it was just refining the script.
3 days.
But whatever scripts I write, I might write in 3-4 days, but it stews in my head for a very long time. Like for me, ugly stewed in my head for 7 years. Raman Raghav stayed in my head for 4 to 5 years. The ideas stay in my head.
We are running short on time. I'm glad I divided the questions with the audience and with myself. But I wanted to also just look at the future as well. I mean, when we look at films like this, distribution, seeing it on a wider scale, is that always sometimes a struggle for films and for filmmakers trying to find distributors for films like that? I know you have to do the festival.
It is.
So
Festivals help.
yes.
Festivals help a lot. And literally, like our film would not have been very widely distributed because of the politics of it and everything. But a lot of it changed during the India screening of Mami.
Okay.
Because that was such an explosive response from the audience that changed the whole thing for us, because which is what festivals do.
Yeah.
Because that's the first time studios saw that people want this film.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's become a theatrical release. The film has gone through the censors and cleared it. So everything has happened. So sometimes festivals do help. Festivals helped like Submersible became what it became, because otherwise the film could have been probably never would have seen the light over there.
When you look at what you're doing in 2025, are you? I'm going to wrap up. Give me a second. Is acting on the cards now to make a bit of money and then come back to directing, or are you already writing in process?
No. Acting is, I do acting only for money.
That's what I was saying, just to make a bit of money.
Yeah, no, but now the things are happening in the sense.
Okay.
I have 3 projects for next year. There'll be 2
You have
films.
some
and
insight for the London Indian
No,
Film
there's
Festival?
nothing. There's 2 films and a series for Netflix
Okay.
that I would start working on. I would start shooting next
You
year.
can start shooting next year.
The
So
writing is done.
So you'll be here again next year,
I'll start shooting next year means I would not be at the
2026.
festivals before 25, 26.
26. So fingers crossed.
25
we'll
or
see-
26.
25 or 26. We'll see you back here in Birmingham. Maybe, ladies and gentlemen. Please, ladies and gentlemen, our director. Give a round of applause. Thank you.